All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the AltStreetChronicle. Today, I bring you a unique and special edition of this show in which I have invited a group of guest panelists to join me to discuss the fallout from FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, Alameda Research, and the implications on the decentralized financial arena going forward. My first guest that I've invited is Victo, who is a cybersecurity expert in his own manner, working for several different companies and fields that shall remain unnamed. Mr. Victo shall be joining us later and has expertise in helping to develop the decentralized exchange HDX. We are also joined by Mr. Austin Clark, an influencer and direct associate of the Cardinal House. Finally, our third guest is Mr. DaBourne, who is the COO of the On-Chain Alliance. Gentlemen, welcome to Breaking Bankman. This is an incredible story. It's been an incredible week. And I would like first to open the floor to Mr. Austin Clark. I'm curious what your thoughts are going into this week. What did you think was going on?
Oh man. Well, going on to this week, obviously we never thought that this would have even happened, right? And when it came to FTX, it's just like I feel like we're at this stage where it's just a copy and paste. Like we kind of see what's going to happen. I think Anchor kind of was destroyed with the whole DeFi savings account type of thing, and then the first one was Voyager, where Voyager took a turn. So we've been here before, right? And then we just keep seeing the rinse and repeat of everything that happens. And yeah, it's been a fun week, that's for sure.
All right, Mr. Victo's coming in and out. Victo, did you have any thoughts going into this week that you wanted to share at the beginning?
Still on my meeting, Neck, but
okay.
Just the absolute comedic value that has been FTX, because it continuously gets worse and worse for SBF, despite the fact that now he's just the laughingstock of the entire crypto community, one. And two, now he is embodying everything that Eric Voorhees said would go wrong. Because now, on the left, you have what he claimed, saying that there was some form of regulation, which the entire cryptosphere would have to fall under, right?
Yeah.
Now, Voorhees went head to head with him recently and basically said, this is why we shouldn't do this. And now, come to find out, FTX has literally done what they were wanting to do with the government. They have broken their own self-regulatory standards that they wanted to have put in place. So, fucking grats, SBF. You fucking did it.
Ooh.
You made a mockery of yourself by throwing glass or stones at glass houses.
I'd like to introduce and invite another guest panelist I was hoping might make it. Mr. Godfather of Make DeFi Better. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you coming.
Yeah, thanks for having us. You can call me Danny, by the way. I am doxed.
Danny, pleasure. Pleasure, sir. I opened this panel sort of just discussing how I was hoping at least we would discuss briefly how each of us was feeling going into this week. Since you're just joining us, would you mind sharing your thoughts, and then I'll go to Mr. DaBourne.
Yeah, I did hear, by the way, but I was in the audience with my hand up like a polite boy. But well, I felt a lot better going into the week than I do coming out of it, to be honest. I think.
Amen to that.
Oh, look, the problem you've got, I think, at least with DeFi is, and I'm not a DeFi maxi, it's not really, nothing's really decentralized, right? Even if you want to be listed on Cake, you've got to fill out a form, and someone's got to look at that form and make a decision, right? So I'm not like a DeFi maxi, but at least with DeFi, I think we sort of accept that our value is pegged to crypto, and that has like inherent risk. And then I think within CeFi, from what I see, and I'm not an expert by a long way, I think what I see is an industry that is fixed to the value of currencies because it moves those currencies around, and if those currencies lose value at any point, whether it's USDT or whether it's Ethereum or Bitcoin, if they significantly shift in their valuations, then it has a massive impact on your organization, right? So I think if, a lot of people say, well, you get all of this leveraging in sort of central finance. You do, but at least there is like a common understanding of what a currency is. But, if one country's currency goes to the wall, then their banks are going to be in trouble in exactly the same way. So it doesn't.
You are exactly right. There's only one, actually, no, even the most decentralized protocols have some form of a clutch to a native currency. It's just, how do you go about fully decoupling? The only two projects I've seen successfully even come close to attempting this are GMX with the way that they've designed their tokenomic system and the technology behind the HDX platform, in which they've kind of leveraged both the Lightning Network and its EVM-based state channels for one-to-one native swapping. But GMX is a completely different platform in the fact that they've essentially decentralized the leverage platform as a whole with the GLP pool.
Which in its own unique way decentralizes the risk of providing liquidity, and which is part of what makes GMX most interesting. But before we sort of get into the nuances of solutions, Mr. DaBourne, I want to give you the floor. I'm curious what you were thinking when you were going into this week, when you started to catch this news.
I thought I had a pretty good indication that the bear market was slowly coming to an end. Gas prices were slowly going down. A lot of project leaders were switching back to their native coins from stable coins that they were paired to. And you just don't willy-nilly do that if you think everything is going to come crashing back down. Likewise, we look at the Instagram and Meta and Facebook and how that pumped Matic. And I think everyone, last week had a sigh of relief, like, whew, we're getting close. TA says we should be near the bottom. Nothing is blown up. In a couple of weeks, no one's pulled the pin on a hand grenade. Let's pray nothing else happens. And now coming out at the end of this week, I think SBF has probably added a good couple months to the crypto winter. I don't know how long, still trying to piece that together, but he's definitely added some time to it, because what we thought was potentially the end is now just right back where we started. Because even though the CPI came back at 7.7, we haven't bounced back like we should have. If this didn't happen and the CPI came back at 7.7, we would have been well over 2,000 ETH, well over probably 23,000 Bitcoin. But we're not. We're still struggling in those mid 16s, those mid 1200s.
Breaking news. And thank you to Austin. As we're sitting here, FTX US has suspended withdrawals.
Fun. That is awesome.
They claim they were unaffected. Good to know that they're not.
Yeah. Oh, so unaffected. Much immunity.
Of course. Oh, gosh.
If only they sold a jab for corruption. Am I right, guys? Anyways, this news breaking in the middle of the week comes after weeks of CeFi versus DeFi chatter, essentially culminating in a debate, as Victo cited earlier, between Eric Voorhees and Sam Bankman-Fried on the Bankless podcast. I don't know how many of you guys watched that, and I wanted to ask before we go on, how many of you guys have seen that show?
Is that the clip that's been going around where he was like, it's not that bad in jail, and then he leaves?
I think that might have been a different moment, but
it's this guy's talking to
Bankless,
Sam.
the Bankless podcast was absolutely insane. He was spitting bullshit out from left and right, both in the fact that, one, he feels that anyone that deals with any kind of crypto ever should be under some form of government regulation, which we cannot have. That would mean that both AWS, Google data centers, and just any other major service provider of any kind that provides any level of SaaS, even if they have so much as a single miner for like Bitcoin on any of their machines, they now have thrown their entire organization into risk by that alone. So that's just one piece of bullshit that he was claiming or wanting to bring into the fold. That would screw up the entire IT industry because now they need to look at how they are legally liable. So many companies, including IBM, Microsoft, et cetera, anyone on the Fortune 500 uses each other as a sort of service, even if
In
you don't
some
realize the
capacity.
connection is there. So like, and this is some high level bullshit, but the Blue Cross and Blue Shield of America Corporation actually uses IBM, who, you know, another Fortune 500, as a service provider for a lot of their internal IT infrastructure. So because IBM is also a data center host, if they had anything related to blockchain on their data centers, and keep in mind, Anthem also has its own set of data centers for the really confidential information. Now you are looking at a situation where both Anthem and IBM are under intense scrutiny from the government for something that they may not have even realized they had in their data center.
And this
Just
is where
to give you
we
an idea
come
of how
to,
wide impacting this could potentially be,
yeah,
if any of the shit that SBF was claiming were to go into effect.
and this is where we come to a unique crossroads where money, technology, philosophy, and politics all meet in a clusterfuck of derp. Because we're seeing financial regulators wanting to regulate crypto the same way they regulate money. But at the same time, here in the United States, we have a movement among high-powered businessmen that implies that their money is speech, that money is a form of speech, which is, in essence, regulated by the Constitution to be free from government intrusion. So if the government starts to regulate code and regulate the people who produce projects and products on the blockchain, then they are, in a very big way, crimping and harming the innovative capacity of internet speech. And that is a violation of the American Constitution. So this is where things get very murky, because Sam Bankman-Fried was, as Eric Voorhees says, pushing for that kind of regulatory violence. So this is where things get complex. And I guess I would open this up to sort of the whole panel in general, whoever wants to go first. My next question would be, where do we all stand when it comes to money being speech? Because if money is speech, then so is crypto. And that's where things get kind of murky. It's a complex question. It involves a lot of thoughts, a lot of cognitive dissonance at points.
Yeah, I mean, I think money does have power, you know, and that power can be used to influence, like you said, speech and all that. And I think when you have people like, you know, you got Elon Musk, right? Literally, Elon Musk made Dogecoin this ginormous movement when it all started from a meme coin. So that's like a great example of using money and having money is the power of speech and just being able to like
Yeah.
have the momentum of speech reach across the entire globe of a goofy picture of a dog. And I think that in terms of crypto and all that, the thing we're seeing with this power is crypto was made to decouple from traditional finance. That was
Yes.
why, like, being anonymous, the technology making it seamless, smart contracts, so you don't have to. It's trustless, like all these different things. And you see this is where cultures really battle, is when you have
Yes.
a culture that is used to their certain ways, and you have another culture, and then you come together. This is what is taking place. And you have traditional finance, and you have DeFi, or even CeFi, but with, even in crypto in general, even if it's a centralized exchange, it's still a part of the crypto realm that was created on the foundation of just being different. And you have these people trying to make it into the business world. I even Danny and I talked about this at the beginning of the week in a Twitter Spaces we did, where I always like to talk to him about MDB within the business world, and he made a great point. It's like people want to do these things with DeFi and crypto and try to translate them in the real world, but it's just two different entities. And when you put them together, if you don't put them together the right way, and even if you try to put them together the right way, you're going to have this insane power clash that it just doesn't work at the end of the day. And we see this with these major centralized exchanges that fail, just like the most riskiest DeFi projects, every single day.
Okay. Any thoughts, Godfather?
I'm relatively new to the industry. I've invested, but relatively new to working in it. And I find, coming from sort of, I've worked in large businesses, Fortune 500s, and I've worked in the startup space. I find it fascinating that in crypto, it starts off with speculation, right? I was looking at some altcoins the other day and some really interesting technologies. Step one is listing your token. Most of the businesses shouldn't even have a token. If you're looking to, build this brilliant technology built on blockchain, why is step one to launch a token? And so I think blockchain in many different forms has the ability to change the world as we know it, and it's much of crypto is trying to take the shortest route, even when it looks really professional and well structured. In truth, it's trying to get to just profit really, really fast rather than delivering the value first. And that's kind of my experience within the space. And and I think so maybe it probably doesn't really answer your question, Necksus. I'm sorry, but
No, it's okay.
With my reflection on the industry, that I think it starts off so speculative, and people dangle this like real world business use case in the background, rather than if you, and even some of these organizations are huge, right? I think one of them I was looking at was like a top 100 altcoin, but they've never delivered any revenue. So the value in their business is like 99.9999999% speculative, if not 100% speculative, which, I think, some businesses list really early, which is fine. But in truth, most businesses, go through some proof of a business case. They take VC investment, and then they'll list at some point in time when they can demonstrate, when they've got demonstrable value in the business, not just an idea. So when I look at the altcoin sort of pattern, which is launch, boom, die, and then a few ripples along the way, but really it's heading down to the bottom right, it's no surprise really, because when it was booming, it was dependent on the market, and it was 100% speculation because it never delivered a product. So yeah, I find the space odd, if I'm completely honest, coming from the real business world.
I would concur.
I like what he said. It's literally a combination of power, just like you said, Necksus, with all this money. It's a combination of power and speculation, and it's just unfolding at a super large scale.
Yeah, and when it falls apart, people go, "Oh my god, it was just, there's nothing behind it." It's like, well,
FTX.
No product, there's no business, there's nothing. Well, at least FTX would move. They're providing a service, right? If it was traditional business, they would sit within the service industry rather than say product. But many of these organizations, they've never built anything, they've never delivered any revenue, and then when it all falls apart,
oh no, they had revenue, dude. They had revenue. They printed their revenue and then transferred it, and then leveraged that printed revenue.
No, but to be fair to FTX, you know, they would sit within the services industry, right? So they are making margin by moving, you know, tokens around. But whereas, you know, business says it's going to build a technology that's going to change the world in 3 years, and then it launches a token now, is 100% speculative, right? And you know, do a traditional raise. Why? Yeah. So for me, I find it very odd. And then when it all falls down and there's nothing there, it's like, well, you know, you raise money off the back of a few slides, basically, and crazy amounts of money. So, you know, most businesses fail very early on. Most normal businesses fail within the first 6 to 12 months. And I don't know why, because you give someone like $1 billion out of nowhere, that means that they're going to be successful. Yeah, for me, I just find it very odd.
Any thoughts,
I almost feel
DaBourne?
like DeFi's. I almost feel like DeFi's lacking behind the real world business sort of perspective by a couple of years. I don't know how many, but I mean, honestly, you look at SBF and everything, and it's like, haven't we learned our lesson? Like, you know, they are a multi-billion dollar corporation, and yet there's $20 billion missing in the balance sheet. Like, how does that happen? It happened with Do, and now it's here again. Happened with Voyager, happened with Celsius, happened with Three Arrows. Gosh, there are probably a lot more I can't name. Like, at what point does that start to come in? Because I can tell you that's why this bear market's going to get extended. This is why a lot of institutional money, yes, you know, it's coming in, but it's not coming in at the rate it could be. And from talking to people about crypto in terms of retail investors, a lot of them are not very keen to come in. I mean, not in the sense that they like the space, but what do you expect, Necksus, when you look in here and all you see is like every day, yeah, you're down 10%, yeah, you're down 20%. It's like, oh, well, this blew up, that blew up, you know, this rugged, that rugged. Like, I think it's a phase of DeFi, but I think it's a phase that will cripple us for the short future to come. And we just have to get past that.
And not all of us have that Michael Saylor money where we can buy billions worth of Bitcoin at the top, and then inflation is so terrible that we can literally sell at the bottom and still make money. I mean, there's a certain goofy arbitrage going on over the long term with regards to fiat inflation versus the deflation of assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum. But the fact that we continue, as you guys, as both Danny and DaBourne have pointed out, that we have just capital firm after capital firm just self-destructing under the weight of their own borrowed leverage amidst a bear market. I mean, when are we going to learn? I guess this one, if we don't learn after this one, then we're not gonna.
I don't think it will change. I don't think you will get any other outcome from a liquidity squeeze in a market like this until there is a universally accepted standard of value, and you're able to measure every organization against that. And until you can do that, then it will always be subjective, because it could be Ethereum in 5 years, it could be, you know, Danny Dog token, right? That's has this value, which is because enough people believe the value is within it. So I think, yeah, that's I think until there's you know, universal measure of value, and then somebody can demonstrate their backing against that value, because even, you know, CZ, I'd say CZ,
yeah,
but even him saying, look, we've got 465,000 Bitcoin, is great. And I do the numbers and I'm like, wow, they got a lot of cash. Bitcoin runs to zero. Okay, done. So it's not
I
like
think the only
it's not.
I think the counter to that,
it's not like the US dollar or gold, where it's an internationally recognized standard of value. It's us lot in this weird little industry believing that it is gold, because we believe it, not because it really is.
I think the turnaround to that, it would potentially be a project that uses alternative currencies as its primary backing. So, like, you could have a layer 2 form of a stablecoin, but the backing would end up being I don't want to say 1-to-1, because that's not bear with the current prices, but it could end up being a pool of BTC, ETH, USDC, and Algo, and let's say fucking Harmony for shits and giggles. Hypothetically, if you can balance out the pool of those respective currencies and you keep them in a wallet publicly transparent, you could hypothetically use them as a kind of backing for another currency of much less scarce value, but only if those pools were locked in such a way that they cannot just be pulled out, and it would have to be done via DAO approval. I'm not going to go ahead and make that, but that is hypothetically a way in which you can get a set value out of any crypto and have it remain that value as long as the on-chain fee was set up in a way that it gets redistributed back to whoever is holding it, kind of like a reflection.
That's congruent with the issues we've got going on here, but it doesn't, it moves a step beyond that, which is to say it brings that radical level of transparency that firms like Alameda Research basically refuse to do for years. And it's important in the context of all these research, quote unquote, firms, Terra Luna Labs, Alameda Research, Yuga Labs, these so-called alleged research firms have for a number of months been accused of being responsible for a lot of the price action and manipulation, arguably, that we saw with the hikes this past bull run. Does anyone have any thoughts on the allegation that Alameda was responsible for some of that, if not all of that?
I believe it. Let's look at it like this. Why wouldn't they have why wouldn't it be justified to point at them and go, yeah, you're responsible for this? They literally gave the FTX, literally gave Alameda $10 billion in user funds to go, ha ha, do what you will with this. And then proceeded
us
to
all
lose
rich.
every ounce of it. They could absolutely, with that kind of cash, pull some major market manipulation specifically for the sole purpose of attempting to recoup those losses. They didn't lose $10 billion all at once. They lost it over the course of months.
Which presumably would have been happening due to them speculating against the market as it's tanking.
Or going against.
Yeah,
or
with
going
other
with
people's
it.
money.
I'm not going to claim that they didn't make some amount of money back. What I will say is that is more likely they've lost it all.
with no stop loss.
With absolutely no stop loss, because you're
You day
damn
trader.
right, they don't know how to
day
use
trader.
stop loss.
Oh man.
I don't
know
have time
who-
for that.
See, and this dude, this goes back to my point. All we're seeing with these centralized exchanges collapsing, we're just seeing either one, they had newcomers advantage within the crypto space, so they survived for a while, and now this bear market is the great filtration where they're just filtering all these different terrible business models out, or this is literally just copy and paste of what I said at the beginning, where these are just giant corporate versions of these degen DeFi projects launching, and they just had enough money to have a decent runway versus a project raising $500,000. These people had $500 million. So
I can do one better for you. So
that's all we're seeing.
So there's actually a project right now called HDX that only has a treasury of $50,000. You know what they've managed to accomplish? Bearing in mind that they did flip teams like 3 separate times. They've managed to transact native Bitcoin on the Lightning Network to native Ethereum on the Convenes network using EVM state channels. And they did it in seconds.
Victo's project is that he's a fan of, HDX, is definitely one of those that I would point to as presenting solutions to a number of the problems we're seeing here. But until HDX is finished, right, we can't present that today as a solution to the problems. It's
I'm
a
not
future
claiming
solution.
It's a solution.
Yeah.
I'm just claiming that the real innovation isn't in the sex industry. It is in the DeFi industry, where we can see actual progress with the technology making its way back to the tokenomics.
And that's
you can't
important.
have a good project and shit tokenomics, or you sorry, I fucked that up. You can't have a good set of tokenomics without a good project that has feasible technology behind it.
Well, in that sense, same way Austin's point and DaBourne and others pointing out, you can't have a business without a value-adding product. If you create a business that doesn't generate value, that just exists to soak value and burn liquidity into your own pocket, then it's not sustainable and it's going to collapse. What makes Alameda unique is that they did it with other people's money. They did the
But
no-no.
who vets them? No one vets them. That's the thing. There's no one there to vet them. You just get the money and you're like, ooh, they got $500 million. They should be able to do something cool. Lo and behold, if you have $500 million, people like that tend to sort of, fuck it up a bit.
Well, in that
Like
sense, then, we can't blame ourselves. We can't blame the DeFi degenerates, because DeFi degenerates weren't the ones responsible for giving them billions and billions of dollars. We contributed to that when we traded on their exchanges, but their initial offerings came from venture capital. And these guys had just the right background, right? The Jane Street Capital trading firm, they had just the right background and just the kind of charisma needed to sit down in a room with venture capital and say, hey guys, you want to give me a couple $100 million? Look at the magic I was able to work. Hey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's projects like HDX and GMX that go unrecognized until their tech is already in place. And by that point, they're self-sufficient.
It's a unique scenario that arguably the most risk-on stuff, the anonymous, the DeFi stuff, when they knuckle down and they build something and they created whether it's just a financial product or it has some kind of crypto utility, when they get out and they knuckle down and they build something, right now it looks like those projects have a bigger chance of survival than somebody who comes into this space with $200 billion backed by venture capital. Like, it's at this point, the original statistics of tech startup failure remain applicant. Over 7 in 10 venture capital backed technology startup projects will fail. And that's just what the business textbooks say. If we add the blockchain shit to it, I think that number rises.
Yep. And even just because it's in the tech industry, just in the business industry, like, not every business succeeds. And I was even saying this today on Twitter. This is one of my biggest pet peeves I keep seeing people do in the crypto space, is investing in these DeFi projects that are very risky. Is they're like, yeah, the team's docs, they have great integrity. I believe in them. Like, does anybody watch Shark Tank? Like, you have people coming on there that they have great morals. They seem like great people, but their product sucks. Like, their business model sucks. Like, you can have the best integrity. You can have this DeFi project that you feel great with the team, but that doesn't mean that you're going to make money with it. That doesn't mean they're going to succeed. And people have to stop having this, and it's kind of goes back to that tribalistic type of mindset where people just feel attached to these people because we're so in the crypto space where everybody's anonymous, that, like, us as psychological human beings that crave affection, whether you want to admit it or not, the only sense of us being humans that we have interaction with is seeing that face or seeing that profile picture. So we get super into that we lose all common sense on, is this like an actual business? Because business models, it can be applicable to the traditional finance world, crypto world, doesn't matter what. Like, you have, just like you said, Necksus, you have to have a product, you have to have some type of revenue add, you have to have some type of value add not just value extraction, or you're going to fail. No, doesn't matter what if it's in the digital world or the physical world.
And we see it with people who have real projects, and I would definitely cite HDX to this. HDX is a real project, but the token came too early. The asset came before the product was available to use. So that hurt this project in the long term and is causing a lot of people to doubt its future efficacy because they released the token before they released the product. And I've seen that happen with 1,000
Yup.
NFT projects.
Absolutely. And that's the whole, people forget the reason why tokens were made and coins were made. Like, it was made to gain access to some type of value, to do something with. And just like you said, they put the cart before the horse, where the cart being the token and the horse being the actual value and the business model and what they wanted to do with this business and to project it into the future. All this stuff, I see so many projects and so many amazing things that actually could add value to the crypto space. And they're like, oh yeah, we have a token. What's the point of the token? You have this software, you have this business plan, or you have this thing, and it's like, oh, and we have a token that you can generate 25% APY. It's just crazy. It's like, what does that even matter? And then they get so worried about price action and like this all these degenerates that come in because they have this crazy business model that that provides X amount of return. And it's like, why do you even need that? Like, you have a great product, just go with the product, build relationships, build partnerships, and give the value. Like, that's like, I think if I had to put a list on my biggest pet peeves in this crypto space, it's that people make tokens for absolutely no reason. just
I'll tell
to
you
blend
what.
in.
I absolutely agree with you, but I gotta give credit where it's due to GMX. GMX doesn't need a token, but they give you the option to hold it. Do you know what that purpose is? They have two tokens.
Provide liquidity. Yeah,
Not
GLP.
just provide, GLP,
Ooh.
but also GMX for its governance purpose. GMX
Yeah,
pulls
I love
30%. Yeah, GMX is based. Actually, the tokenomics for HDX are being restructured around the GMX methodology. So that's something to keep in mind.
We have an additional one of my featured guests that I was hoping would be able to arrive. I sent him an invite. It looks like it didn't fire here. As soon as he gets here, this would be TJ Dunham, the chief executive of the ARC Reactor project. TJ, thank you so much for joining us. We're currently in the midst of discussing the fallout of Alameda research misusing funds. And I've already previously asked the other visitors what they were feeling going into the week. Would you mind sharing with us your thoughts going into this week?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me on board. Yeah, I'm the CEO of ARC. We are developing essentially a developer platform that's going to help accelerate the whole space forwards. As far as Alameda and FTX, I might have some controversial opinions about them, but
We all do, brother.
yeah, I think they're playing a little bit too risky with users' funds, and they over collateralized, and now they're having to pay for it.
And we're all having to pay for it, arguably.
Yeah, all of us. But ultimately, I think it's good for the space, what's happening right now, because we got our 2-year low in. We have these essentially bad actors that have been eliminated. And I think, institutions and larger groups are going to look at this whole situation and see that there's room to run now. But yeah, that's my opinion in short.
Nice. Thank you, sir. We've been talking about sort of the ethics of creating tokens in the DeFi space, with a special respect to, say, a project that releases token early without having a product active, which I believe happened to Victo's project, HDX, and your own project. Did you feel that releasing the token early had a negative impact?
Not for us, but in general, I can see how it have a negative impact in the space, because typically people will take those funds and run with it. They're not necessarily obligated to actually build something.
Yeah.
So I mean, personally, it's been great for us, right? But for most people, it's not, because people take the funds or there'll be some backdoor planted, and oh no, an exploit happened, all the money's gone. Sorry guys. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, typically it's not the best if there's no utility right away.
Yeah, I like the ARC tech. I feel like that's going to cause some of that to seal up pretty nicely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Victo. I think that, proof of reserve moving forwards and a graphical block explorer that we're going to provide is going to help a lot.
As far as all of us now, post FTX implosion, now that it's happened, now that it's come and gone, the question, the most recent question I asked TJ sort of to the group was, did anyone have any thoughts on the effects on all of us going forward with respect to these speculative token projects that don't add any value? How many more of these do you think we're going to see? Because I think, as Godfather said and as Austin said, there will be more. But we are slowly getting rid of these. Yes, and Clutch writes in chat, it's doubt. Without access to the FTX and Alameda balance sheets, how would anyone aside from company insiders know what their liquidity model and reserve status is? In hindsight, it seems obvious, but there's no way to truly know the extent of what's going on until everything blows up.
Clutch,
Oh,
you're damn right on that one. Just for
And
clarification purposes, I did actually step down from the HDX team previously. That being said, I still have a loose affiliation with them.
Yeah, Austin, were you going to say something?
Yeah, and it's like with, because the first thing I ever did in my journey of investing was invest in stocks. And when you invest in stocks, if you're holding them long term just for like dividends and stuff, one thing you want to look at is their balance sheet. You want to see how much revenue they're generating, all that stuff. So you got to get kind of familiar with looking at balance sheets of companies, see if they're cash flow positive, what's their churn rate, are they hemorrhaging cash, all that stuff you want to look at. And with these crypto companies, it's laughable. I think it was crypto.com. I literally just seen today. I don't know if anybody knows this. The majority of their holdings isn't even like Bitcoin, BUSD. It's Shiba Inu.
What?
Hold on. Yeah, absolutely. I've seen it on Twitter
What
here,
the fuck?
and it's like it's
gosh.
it's extremely laughable. It says, yeah, JustinCrypto.com released their proof of reserve, and they hold more Shiba Inu than ETH. And their crypto reserve is 2.9. What is this? $2.9 billion, and of course, 19% of that is Shiba Inu. So their second major holding. Their first is 31% Bitcoin, 19% SHIB, 16% ETH, and then USDC, Tether, and then others. And it's just like ask yourself. I hope everybody here at least at somewhat in the stock market at least just a little bit to diversify. If you were investing in say AT&T or Apple or Microsoft or whatever, if they said they had $500,000 on their balance sheet in AMC stock or GameStop, or they put it in a Ponzi scheme, would you put your money into that? And this is where in the crypto space we just absolutely get desensitized to traditional finance, basic business model ethics, or whatever you want to call it, and it's just mind-boggling, man. It's mind-boggling.
I feel like that
if they got bank ran.
Yeah.
Someone just dumped a bunch of Shiba. Seriously, why not? I mean,
Here, I'll
dropped even
post the
lower.
tweet. I'll post the tweet in voice chat.
So
Dropped
I actually have an
Bitcoin to
opinion
12K.
about this whole situation, and that is more of a cultural thing than it is actually more of a cultural and technical thing than it is a finance thing. I know, kill me. The long story short, I feel like the whole crypto sphere kind of exploded after BTC happened in 2018, and team members of these projects, not calling out you, TJ, or really anyone else from this perspective, but I feel like the finance people started going directly to developers with half-baked ideas for crypto tokens and zero idea on how to execute.
So in that sense,
have-
engineers
That's
are producing
90% of the market,
tokens.
my friend.
Oh yeah, no, I'm
Not even real engineers too. I mean, people, they want to build a Web 2 use case, but they fall insanely short of it.
so
Damn.
normally in like traditional technology departments, you have like managers with managers, and they generally plan out what's going on. And you have multiple different levels of tech-based research. And then finance, they're doing whatever the fuck that finance does. But generally, from the technical standpoint, there's always at least some kind of plan for implementation. When it comes to the crypto projects, though, that all falls flat because they have the people that know how to build the tools, and they have the people that know how to run the economic pieces, but they don't have anyone that knows how to do execution on the plan. So that thought process alone being skipped out on kind of is just a really bad indicator for most DeFi projects if they're lacking that critical piece.
This is incredible. Just looking at this balance sheet is amazing.
What happened to the whole, oh, you should have more stable assets than volatile assets? Like, that is so far in the other direction. 10% of that is
Yeah.
stable.
Yeah, like what the fuck am I looking at here? This is insane.
Come on, guys.
And
This is a good
shouldn't
asset.
it?
This ship's a good
Oh.
asset.
Come on.
If anybody here has a crypto.com debit card,
Cut that shit
liquidate.
now.
I was just gonna
Y'all-
say,
y'all need to know.
it's time to exit scam on crypto.com, everybody.
I'm not going to be surprised if they get tanked tonight in the Asian session. I mean, how long have people known that 90% of their balance sheet was Shiba? Was that just released today?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know
Bank.
how long. I just know. I just
Yeah,
seen
this
that
is
on there
what's
today, though.
circulating. Yeah, it says crypto.com's release their proof of reserve. That's
I'm
what
putting
this
this in
is.
the GMX
Why would they
Discord.
release
I don't
that
even care.
with 90% sheep? We got to look at the holders. I'm going to look at the data. And I mean, if there's any other substantial holders in Shiba, it's over. I would.
I'm throwing this
jump
in the
crypto.com.
GMX Discord. This is gonna spread like wildfire now.
Incredible.
I just want to go read what the comments are on this tweet. I was waiting for CZ to go on there. Hey, guys.
Hey guys,
come
what's
on.
going on in this thread?
He's going to put a leash on the balance sheet.
I love CZ. He's a good shit stirrer, man. Yeah.
You know, some people could consider him like Big Brother for the space, but I think he's actually doing a good job. He's policing a lot of the BS.
Yeah.
He's got
I
an eye
do
for
think
traditional
he's-
business too.
I think he's doing a pretty okay job in general. I mean, I still don't really like him and the role that Binance has had, but in general, there could be worse.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, let's say FTX got too big with what they were doing. They're going to become like another Goldman Sachs. You know, they're going to become too big to fail, and since they're in bed with the regulators, they're going to get away with a lot. I mean, I'm glad that they were caught, as early
Yes,
as it is,
sir.
even though it's going to affect the space negatively for a little bit. I think it's great overall.
And that raises another question that was been coming up in general chat since Wednesday, since the shit took place. There's been some speculation that because CZ, Vitalik, and a number of other guys were at a certain Bitcoin conference a couple months ago, that there was an opportunity for the DeFi faithful and their favorite influencers and leaders to collude against the centralized exchange FTX. I can't confirm this, and allegedly their CZ has gone on Twitter a number of times to deny this rumor as speculation and speculative allegation. But what I'm wondering is what you guys think. Do you guys think that the DeFi faithful colluded together to kill FTX with one epic bank run?
No way. Trust me, from a logistical standpoint, that is a nightmare and a half.
Oh, yeah, no, it is.
Attempt to perform. So
That's what they did, though.
That is what possibly happened, but we don't
That's exactly
know.
what happened.
We don't know for certainty because we weren't
he
in
was
the
playing
room.
with regulators, and CZ didn't like that. He said it on his own Twitter,
That's true.
and he's ran them down so much that SBF is conceded publicly.
Yeah, and CZ was by zero means the only one who was expressing his frustration with that activity. I mean, our friend of the server, Eric Voorhees, was absolutely all over the place expressing his consternation with the activities of Sam Bankman-Fried and his ilk. It's simple to suggest, it's a simple narrative at least, to suggest that it was possible for this kind of collusion to happen. It was the kind of collusion that would have been needed to bring FTX down likely. I think it's pretty unlikely. But was it possible? It's certainly possible. I was just curious if anyone else thought that Binance deliberately master planned the destruction of their largest competitor.
no,
I don't think they.
wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think they did. I think honestly, FTX killed themselves with their own ignorance.
And with their leveraging of user funds?
It's like FTX literally went out of their way to use user funds and play shit, get hit, kind of,
They fucked around and found
They
out.
thought they were a bank.
Yeah, they
They
did.
thought they were a bank, but
Yeah,
they
they
got
thought
treated
they
like
were
the
a
Lehman
bank.
Brothers.
Well, and I mean, look at it like this from a business perspective, because I think you just said Necksus that CZ has his own real world businesses. I mean, I don't know a lot about CZ, but if you compare, we just dropped. I thought this was like common knowledge by now about the Crypto.com holding stuff, but I just showed you all the Crypto.com's holdings. We seen FTX just collapsed, and then we have Binance. Who is the two out of the three people that we just talked about here? Who is the two that just spent millions and millions and millions of dollars on marketing? They got stadiums, they got Super Bowl commercials, and then who actually was just working and building a business, right? Like, see, you don't hear Binance doing, like, I'm sure they have marketing, but they didn't go out and buy stadiums. They didn't go out and buy Super Bowl commercials. Crypto.com has their own stadium. FTX has their own stadium. They, like, both of them partnered with all these major, athletes, influencers, all this stuff.
All
And then
these
you have
people.
Binance that just built, right?
Pretty sure
So
Binance partnered with Cristiano Ronaldo recently, right? And there was somebody
that's
else.
what I'm saying. Like,
Yes.
I don't know the marketing extents of what Binance did, but if I were to just take a guess, I would say Binance has dramatically spent less on flashy marketing that Crypto.com and FTX has done.
It's also
Yes.
worth noting, Changpeng Zhao, the head of Binance, before he was the head of Binance, he worked for a subcontractor of the Tokyo Stock Exchange and was a software developer for creating matching trading orders. And he worked full-time for 4 years at Bloomberg Tradebook, where he developed futures trading software. So, arguably, before there was crypto, this guy had software engineering experience building trading software.
Yeah, Sam Bankman-Fried was not a engineer by any means. Last I checked, he was a biologist, but who knows what.
He discovered a nice arbitrage mechanism between the Japanese and U.S. markets, but CZ definitely has a more robust background. I mean, the guy's like a human calculator.
Yeah, when I look at Bankman-Fried's background, all I really find is that he was a speculator for Jane Street Capital. That's all I got. He went to university and he was a speculator.
Don't get me wrong, Jane Street, I mean, they're heavily qualified. I mean, people just starting out there, they get paid like $400,000 a year. But
that's true.
Yeah.
But
CZ's resume and background is a lot more robust.
Well, as you know yourself, I'm certain, TJ, there's a difference between being a leader of a business and being an engineer who's building the foundation of it.
Most definitely.
I don't know if Sam Bankman-Fried ever knew the difference between those two things.
We should
Well, what did he do?
We should be making engineering mandatory for everyone, so at least they have the fundamentals of what engineering actually is. Because it could be like, oh, I'm a finance engineer. What is a finance engineer? Someone that actually knows how to like build something with the finance department, or someone that can,
Well, and
I'm probably wording that poorly, but
no,
you
no,
kind of
you're
get the
not.
point.
I mean, engineering fits a wide variety of backgrounds.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the whole situation where he over collateralized himself, he thought he was setting up a good financial engineering um, setup. I mean, working with the regulators, but he didn't understand the social engineering of the space, and he put way too much risk into that, and he paid for it. Ultimately, I think that regardless of what you're building, you can't lose sight of your original intentions, which is empowering the people. And I feel like that's what got away from him, and that's why FTX is where it's at now.
Yeah, I want to shift the convo personally a little bit away from the FTX to now the repercussions of
Yes.
Binance being in control of generally the whole thing. Because here's the thing, Binance is still located for the most part, last I checked, in China, which is from a cybersecurity standpoint, for which I'm an actual engineer. There are problems with China having control over one of the biggest crypto exchanges in the world, probably the biggest now. Now that the US, or not US based, but FTX, which was formerly US based and still technically has a US site, is now going, bankrupt. From the cybersecurity standpoint, China is a big red flag because of the big great firewall that they have, but also the fact that every single day I am monitoring and seeing pings and shit coming out of China, even attacking some of our own clients. So there's risk
Whoa.
to be had there in relation to not calling China a threat, but at the same time, we can't really ignore them for what it is.
No, we can't. Especially not when now, after the recent seizure, one of the biggest holders of Bitcoin in the entire world is the United States government. Yay! An outcome I don't think any of us really wanted.
Yeah, so now we're in a situation where you have the biggest exchange in the world for cryptocurrency in control of China. And now the US Treasury is in a very large, or has a very large grip on a very large amount of Bitcoin.
Very precarious scenario indeed.
Isn't the US government and the Chinese government basically 1 and 2 holders of Bitcoin anyway? I don't think they need a proxy, right?
Well, theoretically not. But what we're seeing here is we're going to see the international money war between, of course, the petrodollar and whatever this new digital standard that's currently being worked on by China and others. BRICS, exactly. So with these two competing systems existing in parallel tandem with Bitcoin and others, it's going to make the economic situation even more nuanced, in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
And it
sorry,
depends.
guys. I'm stuck on an hour, and I need to go off to something else. But it's great to meet you. For those that I haven't spoken to before, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't say check out MDB, MDB.fund.
Yes, sir.
Got to shill it. Totally sustainable protocol. Plenty of cash in the bank. Real cash.
Thank you so much for joining us, Danny.
You don't have sheep?
You
don't have sheep in the fund?
We own no
convertible
sheep.
Shiba notes.
Uh-oh.
Where's
Uh-oh.
the Doge? Where's the Doge?
They don't have sheep, you guys. Short it to zero.
But no, it's great to see you all. And look, MDB, I'm not going to shill anymore, but we launched a week before Terra Luna. We've been very robust during this market. It was designed to sustain in the worst conditions, and we have. So if
MDB is so robust, they are the place that absorbs your favorite dying crypto project that you invested all of that time and money and emotional attention into. That's probably going to end up at MDB. So
we do actually. We've absorbed 9 projects that have run into trouble. That's part
FTX is
whole
next.
projects, beautiful.
Part of our playbook that we didn't realize would be used so much.
when MDB absorb FTX?
I don't think they've got any money. Cool.
Savage.
Cheers, guys. Take care.
Thank you,
See you,
sir.
Danny.
Thank you so much. But yeah, for
Hey, Nexus, yeah, I'm gonna have to sadly follow him out as well. But hey, thank you so much for having me on here.
thank you
Honestly,
so
it was a
much for
really fun
joining
time.
us. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope I can get you guys together for another panel, hopefully under better market circumstances.
Oh yeah, we'll
I
be
do
talking a
gotta
year
ask,
from now
who
in the
was
bull
it?
season.
You
Who
got it,
was it
boss.
that was like, whoa, when I said that I'm constantly seeing shit come out of China in terms of like ATPs?
Probably me. That was probably me, brother.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, thanks you so much, Austin. It's been a pleasure having you for this panel.
Absolutely, I'm gonna stay here and look around the Discord later. But yeah, have a great day, everybody.
You too.
Absolutely
Catch you
appreciate
later,
it, Chief.
Austin.
Yeah. So for my remaining
Yes, sir.
panelists, thank you guys again for joining me. I really appreciate it for this show. Did you guys have any thoughts you wanted to add, sort of along Victo's vibe of the sort of looking at the future now?
I
I
heard
think
you guys talking about GMX.
Oh
earlier.
yeah. Oh yeah. Somebody's
What
got
did
to absorb
GMX
that
does.
leverage now that FTX is dead.
Yeah, I saw that tweet, by the way, from the, who was it? FTM, like, News Daily.
Yes, Phantom News Daily.
Yeah, that shit was funny.
Oh yeah, where they said that we built we built a new GMX. We're launching it on Phantom.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like,
just to dispel any rumors, we have the smart contracts and everything set up. It is the GMX code, but it's not GMX. We were just showing off our product.
It was a great marketing demonstration. It highly and effectively achieved its goals. Perhaps too well, Chief.
Oh yeah, a lot of people got upset. And that wasn't our intention. It was just, we're a paradigm shift for development and moving GMX from AVAX to Phantom in an hour. I was just trying to highlight that.
At the time
Yeah,
that news
I
post went
actually-
out, I loved reaching out to all of you different guys. I reached out to GMX, I reached out to ARC, and both GMX and ARC responded to me like, yo, we had no idea. We had no idea that people were going to misinterpret our marketing stunt as actually copying GMX wholly and completely.
from my understanding, though, it wasn't even a marketing stunt. It was just, hey,
Just a
yeah,
demonstration.
from my understanding, you guys were actually in another chat with the GMX devs, and they were like, yeah, we have a contact line. We knew they were doing this.
Oh yeah. And what GMX and neither GMX nor ARC knew was that people would look at the marketing event and think, "Oh, this is real. Oh, they've actually done it. They're gonna sell GMX tokens on Phantom, you guys." GMX team is like, no, we're not, but okay.
Yeah, that was really funny to watch.
That was awesome. I loved seeing it. I thought that was so fucking cool.
Yeah, don't worry, TJ. We bugged GMX about it.
Yes, as Tom said in chat.
So what do you guys think? Do you guys think the bear market has been extended because of this?
Oh
You
yeah.
think there's yeah.
I
Oh,
think
yeah.
How
it's
long?
been extended by a solid 3 to 6 months.
Minimum.
But I do think there's more room to run once we hit the bull again. because of
Yes.
this.
Yes, and it's
Interesting.
it's definitely
Interesting.
shaken out a lot of locked up assets that honestly, I guess, shouldn't have belonged to Alameda and FTX to begin with.
Yeah.
So they were
GMX is going to be definitely a blue chip next run.
when the FTT tanked, when the tanking of FTT caused the further tanking of Solana. I know there were several Solana holders in this community who were absolutely weeping for their
They were
value.
hoping, dude. That one guy was like, I'm going to buy more Sol at the bottom.
Well, the thing about Solana, though, is that
Oh.
Solana's separate from FTX. They at least have things that they're doing and people who are building on it. Like, say what you want about its viability and the fact that it keeps having to shut down. I'm pretty sure those technical issues are separate from FTX. But
They weren't
Jesus.
isolated, though.
Oh, yeah, no, you're
they're
right.
not.
Well, I guess theoretically, if FTX was so invested in Solana, they would know in advance if every time it was fucking up, they could short it. That would be a very Alameda thing to do. Let's short sell our own investment on leverage and pocket some side money to pump it up later.
Market manipulation to its finest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
And honestly, that's what people were saying Alameda was doing in 2021. That allegation goes back a couple years.
Of course.
In fact, if you look at the Rect reporting on the same thing, Sam Bankman-Fried and Alameda's shitty activity, they have a reputation documented on the blockchain of shorting at least 10 solid functional projects that people were building with, including Trader Joe over on Avalanche. They really assaulted. I was just going to use a terrible word for it, but they assaulted Trader Joe on the liquidity farming and dumped everything for raw Avalanche.
It's not so nice when it happens to you, though.
No, sir.
Yeah.
Nope. I think, you know what? I think this is going to result in a renewed interest in self-custody. Okay.
It already has.
Yep. Proof of reserve.
Well, no, not proof of reserve. I mean self-custody in full. Like,
But proof of reserve. You're right. It's vindicating all. It should vindicate all self custody advocates and any maximalist on any chain who told everyone you don't want to be in these exchanges on any longer than you have to be. And that's a lesson that goes all the way back to Mt. Gox. This is just Mt. Gox version 2.
what we really need is just the HTX platform to come out in full, because once we have that, there won't be a need to trade with the big sexes, because coin
There
A,
won't
B, or C
be.
is, you know.
But as awesome as HDX is, it has one use case that isn't currently being fulfilled as far as a major exchange goes, and that is the fiat pipeline. You have to have a fiat
I heard
exit.
they're working on that.
Let's
I don't have too much I can
form a
really say
partnership.
about that.
Oh,
and get it out sooner.
hey.
I know I met with HDX a while back, and you guys were interested, and we made some good progress on the reactor.
Yeah, like I said, I'm no longer part of the team. I forced them to talk to you guys, and I know they were interested, but I don't know about any further communications.
Well, given that,
I know
like,
for a fact
many
you
of
guys
those
made some really
guys,
solid progress.
those devs at HDX are part-timers. They've got day jobs, and they've been funding the whole thing on selling bonds all year. If they had a fiat pipeline partner who could integrate with what they're building, then that would absolutely do it.
Nick, you want to know the secret? Want to know a secret?
Well, we love secrets. They never stay secret, but go on.
There may be hope yet for ramp integration.
Oh, okay. Well, hell, like a decentralized crypto trading platform could theoretically integrate with as many fiat to crypto providers as are willing to integrate with them.
If ramp is involved.
Oops. Interesting.
Yeah, just so we're on the same page, though, HDX is not a decentralized smart contract program. It is built from the ground up in JavaScript, C++, Scala, and a couple other languages that I can't remember off the top of my head because, again, I'm not affiliated with them anymore and I don't have access to the Git book. But This is a program that you download and install on your computer, and then it opens state channels for whatever currency you want. And being hyper extendable as it is, works cross-chain. So you can have Harmony state channels, you can have Poly state channels, you can have whatever state channels you want. And the exchange piece of it is just like a bulletin board that you post an order to. The order gets pulled down, the exchange is made in seconds, and suddenly you have your crypto non-custodially.
Straight to your wallet. That's powerful.
It is an
And-
extremely powerful tool. The reason it isn't out yet is because, again, it is in development and it is built on C++, Golang, Java, Scala, blah 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 blah. You know the deal.
The technicals.
The technicals.
Well, as far as the future of the crypto space goes, with the death of another big player, I'm finding myself sort of at the end, sort of as we're trailing off into the sort of end of this big stream, I find myself wondering where things are going to go. Obviously, I'm not a soothsayer. None of us are. But as far as things look from here, knowing what I know and knowing what we've shared with this community about the way things are going, things are not all clouds. It is not all thunderstorm here. We are looking quite bright as far as the future is concerned, because the building isn't stopping. It never stopped. The beauty of the space is that this stuff happens so publicly and so quickly that in a matter of 48 hours, we can watch two CEOs of two massive exchange companies having a spat on Twitter, only for one day later, one of those CEOs to offer to purchase the entirety of the other CEO's assets, only for a further day to go by, and for us to all discover subsequently that as soon as that second CEO looked at CEO number one's books, that he saw that it was totally and completely fucked.
Yeah,
That's amazing. It's amazing. It's incredible. That
for transparency.
that we were all able to watch this play out over a matter of a couple of days. It hasn't even been a week. It's been less than 24 hours since they basically said, we need a bailout. We need someone to rescue us. The only developments that I can report to the community on that front are that Justin Sun of TRX and Tron's blockchain stepped up to provide a solution to get FTX users some liquidity. What was his solution? Psst, hey guys, everybody buy Tron because I'm going to pump the price, but it's only going to pump on FTX. Then when it hits the top, you guys send all your Tron out. There's no way that I, Justin Sun, could possibly lose from all of you guys selling into Tron and then withdrawing from the exchange.
So says I, Justin Sun.
It's so silly. I mean, I guess he's providing like a bailout at a premium is what he's doing. He's offering them, hey, you can get your shit out on Tron and, use a bridge to merge it to another blockchain that you like if you want. But, I'm charging you 20 to 25% on the dollar for the privilege of rescuing your own money. Aren't I generous?
So says I, Justin Sun.
Oh, that's such a weird business decision. Like I guess it's not no weirder than Binance getting into a Twitter war with Sam Bankman-Fried only for the whole thing to just like make everybody depressed within 48 hours. I mean,
Going back to a topic for a second. Hey, TJ, I got to ask, did you end up watching the Eric Voorhees SBF thing?
oh yeah,
No.
that
Yeah.
that cast
you did your
dog
brain a
whistled
favor.
this. That podcast dog whistled this entire drama. It really
wow.
did. It really did. It's kind of shocking. Like in this community, I was just bored that day, and I saw on my YouTube feed that podcast was happening live. And Eric's a friend of the community. He's come to AMA with us. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so we love Shapeshift here. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh boy, I'm just gonna pop that live stream right open and just shout in every channel, hey, Eric Voorhees is debating Sam Bankman-Fried. This is C5 versus DeFi. Let's fucking go.
I'm reading the comments here too. Really glad the whole industry is finally waking up to the massive danger that SBF poses to us. And mind you, this was posted 13 days ago.
Yeah.
He needs to be stopped. It's like CZ was reading this comment section and took it up as a mission.
It's amazing. It's really amazing. We've been talking about Sam Bankman-Fried being like weird and shaky and untrustworthy just in the context of hanging out watching him on Bankless and how he performed in a one-on-one conversation with Eric Voorhees, who I consider to be one of the most calm and well-spoken people in the space. Like there's
Now, if it
no
were
one
me,
better. Oh
he would have
God.
been getting fucked up. There's no if and or but. He would have just been fucked.
Oh man.
So do
It
we
was-
think crypto.com's next?
Yeah,
Like-
definitely. After what Austin
After-
revealed?
Yeah.
After
Yeah.
that, yeah, no, crypto.com is dead.
Yeah, I would speculate on that comfortably. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But yeah,
Is there any like perpetuals we can short for Shiba, like on Binance or something?
shit probably.
God, I want to see that on GMX because I can't use Binance. 'Cause
Any
believe it or not,
wolfies? Say it, shout in chat. Your favorite exchange to short sell shitcoins.
I look up Shiba perpetuals, and the first thing that shows up is FTX.com.
Go on, make an account. Make an account, TJ. Put $1,000 in there. Go on.
Let's
no
go.
balls. No
No
balls.
Our
You won't.
company
You won't.
treasuries.
Oh my.
Our company treasury is closed at the moment.
And
Yeah,
FTX
Dark
and
house
FTX US would be closed for deposits and withdrawals right about now. So I hope anybody who's American saw my server announcement the other day and pulled your funds from FTX US while you still had a chance. Like you had basically 48 hours notice. That was like the best I could do. And I couldn't give anyone on the major European and global exchange notice. I'm sorry. I didn't know it was going to happen. And I say that with all sincerity. I thought Sam Bankman-Fried was shady as fuck, but I had no clue that he was leveraging user funds and mismanaging to this fucking degree.
Says Sam Bankman-Fried.
I mean, at this point, he has earned his scam Bankman-Fried nickname.
Sam
Is that what people call it?
Bankman-Fried, more like.
Oh my goodness!
We're gonna be in the exact same situation when crypto.com shits to the bed. Like it is gonna be back again, boys.
Why would they
Down
release
to
a proof of
1,000.
reserve with
Oh,
90%
I
of their assets in Shiba?
And
They're like, hey
And
guys, we
10%
did what you
stable.
want.
And 10% in stables.
Oh,
That's the
no.
thing. And what is that 20% in other? I bet you that is shit coins. That is shit. Like
Yep.
well,
The only group that gets away with it because they can get away with it are GMX, and they can get away with it because their system is designed in such a way that it allows them to get away with it. At
but
no loss.
GMX doesn't have a single shitcoin, in my opinion, in its roster. Like you can say what you want about stable
Magic
coins.
money.
Well, you can say what you want about Frax and some of the algo stablecoins that are getting utilized. Like, they may be shitcoins, but GMX, as far as their liquidity pool, they use Uniswap, they use Bitcoin, they use Ethereum, they're using the big cap boys. They're not
Yeah.
using Shiba or Doge. Like, God. I'm pretty sure half of the traders might leave if they brought those in.
Oh,
But
no, you're
yeah.
absolutely right. They would leave if they brought those in. Maybe if they brought them in for the leverage short, long short market.
And I'll
Not
be
for the GLP,
honest,
though.
everybody. I have been shilling. The only centralized exchange that I've ever truly trusted is Nexo. And even Nexo right now has been doing, besides their proof, their audit, which makes me happy, Nexo's been doing other things that make me scared. Namely, they've been targeting metaverse projects because the CEO of Nexo loves the metaverse. And that frightens me because the metaverse ain't looking too hot right now.
Now, it would take a big brain boy to actually make the metaverse practical. And Nexo and Meta and all the other people that claim metaverse don't actually know what that is. Not from a technological standpoint, and even then, they're fucking
Well,
retarded definitions.
Facebook's
oh,
trying.
yeah.
They're
Yeah.
trying, but they're
I
failing
think the
miserably.
research
I'll
that
tell
they're
you
putting
why.
in is important. I mean, even if they fall short of it, it's going to be huge for the rest of the space.
True.
Well, here's the thing. When we refer to metaverse, we actually refer to the idea of a shared space that has no walls between it, okay? What Meta is trying to build is not that. For one, if we wanted to have a shared space that is compatible with everything and everything, or anything and everything, we need to get so many goddamn codecs into the system in the first place that it's just retarded trying to come up, explain how many
That's
things
real,
need
bro.
to fit into place just for the meta to even, or metaverse to even happen. It
I kn-
like,
Yeah.
not even talking about the crypto piece of it, that can come later, but like engine wise, we need to have something that's comparable to the Star Citizen lumberyard modifications. Fucking external customization wise, we need to have shit that's beyond anything that we have currently. Like, we would need dev tools built into every single thing just so that the users have the ability to properly use the system in the first place. When I say dev tools, I mean like the full kit and caboodle
Yeah, but
of like
the dev
the,
tools, it's a further stage in the development of the space in general. Like these dev tools and infrastructure is what's being built right now. It's why you see like Google Cloud coming into the space. And I mean, what Meta's doing, instead of using its portfolio companies to build the initial base layer, they're trying to come in and build the base layer themselves. That's why it's such a risky move for them.
it
The
the
infrastructure doesn't come till later.
the problem is we also have to deal with the fact that the base layer is just not ready yet. Like, the technology behind the VR headsets, great. It's a really good first step. The ability for the VR headsets to function with actual games, great. Same thing. The problem is now we are talking about several different ecosystems, because you have the Unity ecosystem, and now you have the Unreal Engine ecosystem, and you have the Lumberyard ecosystem. All of this shit is built off other shit, which is built off ancient arcane technology from 1980.
Well, yeah, and that's why there needs to be a bridge between everything, and kind of like ARC with being the bridge between all the EVM chains. There needs to be something like that built for the metaverse.
Yeah, the
And
problem is any bridge that does not have. Okay, so it's more like this. Are I'm assuming that you have seen the M1 chipset, right, from Apple?
hmm
Are you aware with how that fundamentally works?
Did you say the M1 chip? I'm sorry.
The M1 chip, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're aware that is incompatible with x86 encode. With normal CPUs that come out of AMD and Intel, not custom-baked ARM stuff, the x86 encode is going to be, how can I word it? So there is a specific program that Apple has developed to do x86 encode. It is not that great of a tool. And when I say not great, what they do is they forcibly emulate x86 over a compatibility layer that M1 is capable of running. They lose a solid 50% of the performance at this layer in terms of the x86 emulation alone. So any bridge that comes out of this needs to be completely compatible with another engine's method of rendering and running the entire application. So if you have a game, for example, that runs 60 FPS native in Unity, and you suddenly have to translate all of the proprietary shit that is unique to Unity into Unreal, you're going to have a hell of a time doing that because the bridge technology only has so much bandwidth to work with within its confined memory space. So you're forcing a program that was not meant to run inside of anything other than Unity into this tiny little pipe and having it come out of the other end in Unreal.
Well, that's a fair assessment, but I mean, I do think people are developing solutions for that in the future, like geodetic node sequencing, having AI liaisons to a network. Um, but yeah, I mean, I agree. There's no real bridge being made right now. It's
I'm not saying that
still
there isn't
building
any
that base
kind of
layer.
bridge technology being worked on. I'm saying that the bridge technology being worked on is too arcane and
Well, that's what I mean too. It's
yeah.
being worked on, but not really. It's like slapping a band-aid on your hand that just got cut off.
Ugh.
Yeah. I'm glad we're on the same page there.
Yeah.
But you can see what I'm saying though. Like any kind of metaverse technology that has the ability to unify the three biggest engines in regardless of what you use it for. Unity has practical purposes outside of gaming, like for physics rendering systems, right? To practically have the ability to translate entities, assets, et cetera, between the three biggest development programming engines, you have to have native compilation between the two. And we're not going to be there for at least another 50 years. Quantum computing might be able to pull it off, but that is going to be very dependent on the quantum state particles as part of the CPU.
Oh, they're
Well,
making
it's-
big progress on that. I mean, just on
Yes.
Halloween, they published a paper where they figured out a lot of the issues behind quantum entanglement, and they made a gate process that allows, let me pull it up, this new quantum proton chip
Yeah, I read about that.
to act like a normal chip in a computer.
Whoa.
I read about it, but last I checked, it needed still the extremely cold temp.
Gosh, and I was just going to bring up that I just learned about the existence of a quantum resistant ledger technology. But
Yeah,
it
no,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is another layer. Actually, now that I think about it, quantum computing could be a really good clutch for what I'm describing.
That's what it's gonna be, brother. Everything's
Oh,
going
man.
quantum.
Well, think
I
about
mean,
it like
look at
this. If you have
QRNGs.
that quantum bit, you can functionally have it take XOR input. So you can have it feasibly translate from Unity to Unreal with the quantum as part of the layer between it. So it's a really advanced concept, and I'm not quite sure how it would work out, at least the workflow would be, or what the workflow would be. But feasibly, it could work in theory, and it would be
Well,
really damn effective at it.
yeah, you'd have a classical generated algorithm that runs on a normal L1 base layer, and it would asynchronously thread with the quantum layer.
Ah, and Arthix brings us another centralized exchange who felt the need to do a proof of reserves today. They're all doing it. I love it. This is glorious. Today,
yeah.
What are they at this time?
we have KuCoin.
Oh God, KuCoin.
KuCoin's reserves, 20,500 Bitcoin.
200,000 ETH, 1 million, 1 billion
solid.
USDT.
That is
Damn,
solid.
I got to give KuCoin more credit.
Well, hey, and I want to correct
Not
myself
bad.
from earlier. So I've been talking in my community, and they say it's 19% of Crypto.com's balance sheet is Shiba, and that's based off of the user-backed reserves, not their actual balance sheet.
Oh, so that's really only evidence of Crypto.com's degenerate user base's spending habits.
Yeah, and I think this is healthy for the space, guys. I mean, these huge exchanges, they're going to capture a lot of the market share from FTX. I think we'll recover a lot faster.
I think
Mhm.
I
Binance
think
is gonna take a lot of
decentralized protocols like GMX are going to do really well.
As people flee the exchanges and go non-custodial, anything that's non-custodial is probably going to benefit here.
Yeah, no, GMX has how many fees has it collected this week since the whole shit went down neck?
They collected 1.1 million in the first 24 hours of the disaster. As of the day afterward, they added another 1.2 million. 3 days in, we are at 3.3 million. So GMX is on track at this rate to collect around $7.5 million in fees by the end of the week, if this pace keeps up. Which there's no way it keeps up, but if it does, that's the math.
Hooray.
Um,
That just means that we're going to end up with like, I don't know, $25 at the end of the week.
it's a lot. It's a lot for the piecemeal investments us little shrimp have in that project. Not to mention, it's worth noting, GMX's entirely on-chain existence means that there is a ton of data available about that project. You can go look and you can see how much each holder is earning of the percentage of the entire exchange's fees. It is directly available for all to peruse. And according to the mathematics on chain, the biggest single holder of GMX that has it staked anyway has only control of less than 2% of the entire token supply.
Duquan?
Doquan, is that you? CZ, is that you?
Your size is not my size.
But yeah, I just thought that was super interesting that the biggest whale for GMX doesn't even control 5%. They don't even control 2%. It's something like
Wait.
1.79, 1.8%.
Well, let's be honest too. I mean, if you're any type of intelligent, you're gonna spread your holdings out amongst multiple wallets. Why just have 20% sitting in one?
True.
I CBA to do that. I cannot be arsed to do
I
that.
cannot be asked. It would be more economical and you'd spend less gas fees to just have it in one single Ethereum wallet. But I catch your drift, TJ. I catch your drift. Not to mention, it is super amusing to me that every day this week, it is a new centralized exchange that is coming out basically saying the same things. At the end of the day, yesterday I saw Gemini and the Winklevoss twins come out. And they said, for the avoidance of doubt, Gemini has no exposure to FTT tokens, Alameda, and no material exposure to FTX.
Perfect.
Meanwhile,
Gemini making quick moves to pick crypto back up in the U.S.
Oh yeah, definitely. Which is why I haven't fully pulled out of Gemini as an exchange, although I am pulling my Bitcoin from Gemini. I will tell everybody that much.
How much Bitcoin do the Winklevosses have? Is it around 1% of total supply?
I am not sure. I know they say they've been buying since Mt. Gox, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I know it's a lot.
Yeah, it's
like
probably a lot.
200,000 Bitcoin. Right?
Sailor amounts.
Bitcoin.
They have Michael Saylor amounts, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. The most funny, though, of all of the exchange responses, I would be remiss if I ended the show without commenting on it. My personal favorite centralized exchange, Nexo, put out the following two tweets. Nexo has $0 net exposure to FTX and Alameda. As a conservative institution with stringent risk controls, Nexo safeguarded all funds by withdrawing its entire balance from FTX over the past few days. Nexo has a small loan to Alameda, representing less than 0.5% of all of our assets, fully collateralized by digital assets that were liquidated in full by our team 2 days ago, resulting in a 100% principal recovery and $0 worth of losses for the company.
Yeah, Nexo got the win on that one.
They clowned on FTX. We will take all of our Ethereum, all of our Phantom, all of everything that was a token that mattered to us. We will take it back. And on top of that, we are calling in our loan to you and liquidating all of your digital collateral. Thank you very much. That is good business. It is cutthroat as hell, but that is good business. Incredible. All right. Well, we are over 30 minutes over time, and I am incredibly grateful for DaBourne and TJ and Victo sticking with us through all of this. Did you guys want to give any shout outs or final thoughts before I cut us off the live stream?
Did you see we had Jason Bourne in the podcast?
Yeah, man.
I wish.
Of course.
I wish we had Jason Bourne.
Close enough. The last name's close enough. I gotta say.
Well, special thanks to everybody who joined us for this show. The MDB team, TJ Dunham from ARC, DaBourne from the On-Chain Alliance, Victo for being his usual cantankerous self. As always, my name is Necksus. It has been an absolute pleasure to do this platform and podcast for you guys. And I hope you guys enjoyed participating and being a part of it. It was as fun for you guys to be a part of as fun for me to make.
I gotta say, before we drop, special fuck you to Cryptosphere.
One of our users from General Chat, if you must be so toxic, Victo. Thank you for being your cantankerous, boisterous self, as always. Incredible. All right. Well, until next week, my friends, it has been a pleasure.